Hey everybody, this is Keith. Today I am going to demo a script called Tether. And the purpose of Tether is to allow you to have a line between two tokens that continuously updates no matter where the tokens are placed. The primary reason I wrote this was for the 5th edition spell Witch Bolt, which allows you to choose a target and then the targets are joined by a beam of lightning which persists from turn to turn and can automatically hit and damage the creature. But there are lots of other uses for it, which I'll demonstrate during this demo. I'm going to go through a lot of different commands here, but if you want to examine this, the base command is tether, and if you type space help after that, it will call up the list of all of the arguments and all of their possible values. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to untether these with the command untether. Now I'm going to tether a different pair, so you select two pairs, and the base command is tether, and that creates a blue dotted line on the token layer, so it is selectable, between any two tokens. That automatically updates until you either remove or replace one of the tokens or you give the command untether. There are other conditions under which it can be removed, but we're going to go through those. So that is the basic tether. We've already gone through untether. You can change the width of tether. And by the way, if you have two tethered tokens and you issue a new tether command, it just updates the current tether definition. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change the width of this. Width is one of the arguments to 10. The reason it replaces is so that you don't wind up stacking multiple lines. And so you can change the width so you can have a much more visible token. You can change the color. So let's go ahead and issue tether space color. And colors can be given in hex values. You can use or not use the hashtag before the 6-digit code. You can also use an 8-digit code or an 8-character code if you want to include transparency. If you are not aware, in Roll20, where you can, in most cases where you can input a 6-digit code, you can use 2 more characters after that from 00 to EE to control the transparency of the color. So let's go ahead and we're going to change this color to, currently it's FF0000. We're going to change it to FF00FF. And you will see that it becomes a pink. Now, I did not specify a width, so it is putting down a brand new line that says all of the default values, but now it is pink. And as you can see, it continues to update. One of the things we can do is we can change the barrier type. So for instance, we can tell this to be type wall. Right now it is type transparent, which is indicated by a dotted line, but since we're drawing on the token layer, it really doesn't make any difference other than to make the line dotted to make it a little more obvious that it is not a construction on the map, but simply showing the relationship between two tokens. But if I do wall, you can see that this now becomes a solid line. You can also do a one-way line. I'm not sure exactly what the use case would be for that, but it is available. You can also control the layer on which it appears. Like I said, right now this is on the token layer, so it draws on top of the tokens, and you might not like that. So we can give it the command tether type wall, and let's tell it layer map. We're going to put this on the map layer. And now you can see that it is drawn on the map layer. It is appearing behind the tokens and does not obscure their image. You can also put this on the GM layer. Let's go ahead and we're going to tell it GM layer for the layer. And now only you can see it's kind of transparent. And once again, you can see it on top of the tokens. That is because the line is now unselectable. It is on the GM layer. Only the GM can see this. So it might be useful for, say, a bad guy who gets extra powers if his minions are within a certain distance, or if they're in a certain distance to a power source or something. And then finally, you can also put this, actually you can put it on any layer, but finally for demonstration purposes, you can put this on the dynamic lighting layer, which is called the walls layer. And that is up there in the options to let you know that that is the name of that layer. Now it's on the walls layer. Let's go to the lighting layer, and you can see there is the line. If I move that token, you can see that that line updates. This token here has sight. Oops. Let's go ahead and make sure that it has sight. Advanced transform. Oh no, token vision light. Let's give it vision. And you can see that it cannot see past that barrier. If I were to move those from there to there, that barrier moves as well. So let's go ahead and we're going to untether these two tokens. Untether. And now if we preview as this token, you can see that there is no longer a dynamic lighting blocker. You can have multiple tethers on a single token. So let's just go ahead and we're just going to use the base tether. Let's tether those two tokens, and we'll tether this token. In fact, let's tether all of the tokens to the token on the left, the one named Calastro. And you can see that if we move Calastro, all of those tethers move with them. Oops. And if we just move one of the ones that is tethered to Calastro, only the tether between those two updates. So let's go ahead and we are going to use a different untether command, untether all. And that is going to untether all tethers on the board. And then the next thing I want to show is threshold. For example, with the Witch Bolt spell, it has a threshold of 30 feet. Beyond that, if the targets get farther apart than 30 feet, the effect ends. So let's go ahead and we are going to do a tether with a threshold of 30. Now, without putting any other options in there, if I go past 30 feet, which is going to be one more square right there in the middle of the bar room or the tavern floor, for instance, that is 30, that is 35, that tether is going to disappear. The default behavior is that it's still there, it's just transparent, and if you move back in, the tether will reappear. And that could have use for some features, for instance, like I said, the bad guy who gets extra powers if their minions are within a certain space. There are other options. You can have, if it exceeds the distance, and the argument for this is exceeds, the default behavior is off. In other words, it becomes invisible and then becomes visible again once you're within range. If I type delete, now the behavior is if you exceed the distance, that tether deletes. Now, oops. Oh, I needed to select two tokens. All right. Let's go there and let's reissue that command. Delete. Now, if I exceed that distance, the tether disappears, but it does not reappear when I go back in. There are some other options. I'm going to get a little bit closer for these. There are, let's go with color. That is one of the exceeds commands. If you put a color value after the exceeds argument, then the color changes once you exceed that distance. So right now it is set up to be pink. And if we go one more square past 30 feet, it will change to kind of a seafoam green. And if I go back within range, it becomes pink again. There are a couple of other tether commands. Let's see, let's go with attenuate. Attenuate basically means that it is going to get more transparent. And I'm going to make sure that I change the type to wall for this so it's a little more obvious. And I'm going to make the width 10. Oh, and again, select 2 tokens. Let's try that again. There we are. So now we have a nice thick wall, so it's easily seen. And you can see as I get farther away, that line is getting fainter and fainter. It's getting more and more transparent. Close up, very strong. Far away, light, or rather very pale, hard to see. And then if you exceed, it disappears. And if you come back, it starts getting more solid. And then you can also, instead of attenuate, you can use the exceeds value of stretch. And this kind of acts like a rubber band. I'm not going to make the mistake again. I'm going to reselect those. I'm also going to make the initial wall a bit thicker. Let's go ahead and make that a width of 20. And now, as you get farther away, like a rubber band, that line is getting thinner or thicker. And once you exceed that 30-foot threshold, which is what we set on the macro, it is going to disappear, but it will reappear as you get closer again. So let's go ahead and untether that. Oops. Untether. And then that's pretty much the different things or the different arguments interjecting from a later date. I did forget to show one feature, which is probably a pretty important feature since it allows player characters to, players to use the ability, even on tokens they don't control. So you can supply a target to the tether, followed by a token ID, and you can do that in Roll20 with an @ bracket target pipe token _ ID bracket. And that will allow you to target a token. So you only have to have the token you control selected. You enter the macro. It's going to ask you to choose a target. We're going to target this over here, and it is going to create a target. So this allows a player to target a character with a witch bolt or a hunter's mark, or locate their familiar, anything along those lines. And that can also accept all of the other parameters and commands of the other commands. Now back to the regular video. I think I'll go through untether one more time because there is another option there. So let's tether these. And we're going to tether these. And we're just going to set up that multi-token tether like we had before. Now, let's say that this Calastro, for some reason, is tethered to all 3 of these tokens, but we no longer want them tethered to just this one, but we don't want to untether all, and we don't want to go ahead and make sure that we select all of the different tokens that are involved. If you click any particular token and you type untether selected, it only affects tokens that are tethered to your selected token. So only that one disappears. Let's go ahead and let's tether this. So now we have some different behaviors going on. Rowana is tethered to 2 tokens, but this Rowana is not tethered to Larimar. Only Calastro is. So now if we were to issue that untether selected, only the tethers that are attached to Rowana disappear, and the ones attached to Larimar, or Calastro and Larimar, are not. And if I go ahead and select those, And if I tell it untether all, it does not matter which tokens we have selected. All the tethers on the page disappear. Tethers last until you either untether or you delete or replace one of the tokens that is tethered. It is continually looking every time you move a token to see if that token is tethered, and then it does go through all the script steps. If it's not, then it doesn't do anything. But whenever you restart the game, those tethers are persistent, and it looks up and it makes sure it knows on this page that these particular tokens are tethered, and will continue to honor that tether on multiple restarts. So that is the Tether script. This is available. I will leave a link in the show notes. This originally appeared on my Patreon, and it will shortly be in one click as soon as the next merge comes for ease of installing into your Roll20 game. So I hope somebody finds this useful. Let me know if you have any issues with it or if you have any ideas on how it can be improved, and thank you very much.